Hi, this is Swapnil Bharti, and we are here at the Oracle Open World and Code One conference. Today we have with us once again Bob. It was nice, meeting you again.
Yes.
And I think we met almost 6 or 7 months. I don't even know.
I think it was a KubeCon, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So a lot has happened.
Yes.
So tell us first of all, what's going on in the cloud native and container space?
The last time we spoke, we had just launched our cloud native platform. It consists of a Oracle Container Engine for Kubernetes, a managed Kubernetes service, container registry, and a open serverless solution called the FN project. So we launched that last year, and since then we've been working with enterprise customers and startups and everything up and down that customer stack, really helping them deliver best practices, a whole enterprise solution around how to take Kubernetes and cloud native applications out to the market. How do I monitor them? How do I do logging and observability around them? What are the best practices to connect it into my CI/CD solution? How do I hook it in even into a machine learning and AI environment? All this has happened in the last year around Kubernetes, and it's exciting to watch these projects work their way through the CNCF system. And we've been actually adding all those different projects on and helping developers learn about how to take a cloud native application, put it on Kubernetes, and start building it out, monitoring it, scaling it, doing logging around that. How do I add other kinds of components to it, connect it into my database, for example. So all these things are kind of this next generation of taking cloud native to the next level.
Kubernetes itself has, first of all, it has graduated,
Yes.
as a, I don't know whether that makes any sense or not, because that was the anchor project and that's already well established.
Yeah.
And then Google donated $9 million, in credit, to help, to make, kind of Kubernetes more independent of it. But at the same time, it's also, I think, seen a lot in production now.
Yep.
So can you talk about how much is it being used in production now versus people is still evaluating?
Yeah, so I would say, we talk to hundreds of Oracle customers, and I actually work in the Oracle Startup Accelerator program in Austin too, so I talk to small companies and big companies alike. Containers, a DevOps approach that includes container technology, is the pattern, it's the model that people use for building new applications. Kubernetes is now the accepted de facto standard for deploying applications, managing those applications. So we're seeing it everywhere. And what's I think new about it is that people are trying to understand, how do I integrate this into my existing applications, build new applications. There's a survey out that came in August of this year from CNCF. I think the 3 biggest hurdles that people are facing are, one is complexity, one is training, and one is culture. And we've been in this market, my startup from Stack Engine a few years ago all the way until now, we've seen such maturation happen, but people are just daunted by the complexity of how to manage this and how to deliver it. With the managed service that Oracle offers, and you see with other vendors in the cloud offering too, it's a way for people now to avoid some of this complexity. They can start using a managed service that takes away the administration, the updating required. You don't have to maintain or become a Kubernetes expert. I can get now just running an application becomes much easier. So I think the other thing you've seen over this last year is that the managed services are getting better to the point that you don't have to build it yourself. A year ago, 2 years ago, that wasn't true. You would have to build your own Kubernetes platform. You would have to become an expert in Kubernetes. And we would talk to people who say, they would do these presentations at conferences, and they were like, yes, we're Kubernetes experts, these are our best practices. You talk to them a year later, like, now we got 5, 6 people focused on just Kubernetes, it's just too much. So they're looking at managed services, as are folks who are just coming into the market now, which is exciting. We're building new cloud native applications that didn't go through that learning curve. They could jump into a managed service where we manage the master control plane and all the Kubernetes environment for you. So I think that's kind of a huge leap in the market now with managed services. And what happens next is now I could run this application in Kubernetes. I could run it on-prem, and there's some great announcements around that here at the show around Oracle Linux and the cloud native environment. And they built out a whole cloud native stack for running it on-premise. So people can now have a nice stack they run on-premise, run that in the cloud, and that's kind of that vision you have of the cloud environment of open source technology and cloud native computing foundation, CNCF tools. So.
When you said a lot of new people are coming, what is happening is there are still a lot of organizations, they started their digital transformation journey, but now they are suddenly taking a leap and going to cloud.
Right.
And that's where a lot of these technologies, they suddenly make sense for them because they can throw away everything that they built over years. They're either way going to reinvest.
Right.
So what role does that play when they embark on their cloud native journey, and how do you help?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of sort of on-ramps into this journey, so to speak. And one of the groups we work a lot with, because we're Oracle, is the WebLogic community, the application server community, and people build WebLogic applications. I've talked to several very large banks and insurance companies here. They have thousands of WebLogic environments. What we built is a WebLogic operator that runs with Kubernetes as part of Kubernetes, so you can now manage from Kubernetes a WebLogic cluster. We've done that for MySQL environments. If people are running MySQL, there's a MySQL operator that allows you to run Kubernetes and MySQL together. So these operators allow you to bring in technologies that you may have already and connect them into your environment in ways that are natural to you. There's several patterns we're seeing with customers of folks who are maybe having issue or having trouble getting started. The trick that seems to work and the path that seems to get people going is either they pick a very small footprint, maybe a web-facing application or front end, something easy to build, and do that on Kubernetes and containers. Start there and get some traction and learn about that. Or they take maybe a legacy application and pick it up, lift and shift it into a container and just run that application in a container, just so you learn how it works and how it runs. There's things you're going to have to wire up a little differently, but it's a great way to just take something and now I can start running in a container environment. So these are approaches that we've seen. If you run it in a managed service, then it gives you that quick path into the learning curve, hopping over many of the issues people had over the last few years. And I think you'll see that more and more over the next few years. It'll just get easier and easier. The abstraction layers will come up. Everything will start plugging together much more naturally. But I think we're there at the Kubernetes world. We're actually at the level where managed services can help you get started much more easily than it was a year ago, maybe even 6 or 9 months ago. So.
And when you talk about these different approaches, what are the pain points or hurdles or challenges that customers face when they do try to move that you have noticed?
Yep. Well, there's a training aspect to it, and I think that's one area that vendors like Oracle, Cloud Native Computing Foundation has put together a whole training program. You can be certified as a Kubernetes engineer. You can. There's lots of stuff online now. There's lots of meetups, and we work a lot with the Austin meetup community, and that's kind of where we came from and learned. That's how a lot of us learned about containers and technology. So we send a lot of folks out, and now I've got a dev relations team that's worldwide. That his job is to go out and evangelize and help at the meetup level, at the sort of the developer level, and get that education going. So we encourage folks to get out and learn. Engage with your community, ask questions. It's a great way to kind of get over that first hurdle, take advantage of the tools that are around you, and so hook it into any other way to look at it too is I think DevOps has been a huge project that folks have been kind of moving towards. So this is containers, and Kubernetes links into a lot of those DevOps methodologies. It's kind of the killer app that connects Dev and Ops together. So we're once again, if we're looking to further your approach to DevOps and find use cases that push that forward, a lot of people have DevOps initiatives and container initiatives, now Kubernetes initiatives. Those start layering on top of each other, and now you're starting to see that work begin to pay off in some really, really cool ways.
Right, that's true. Now, you're hanging out here at the Groundbreaker Hub. What are you doing here?
Yeah, so we're talking to customers. We're getting the word out about cloud native technologies, serverless, Kubernetes. There's some really cool stuff happening that we're working with the community on even big data and AI applications, Spark, Hadoop, Kafka. It's really cool seeing the sort of the innovation and the creative buzz that's going on, because open source opens up so much democratization of creativity around developers, and we think that's actually when you combine that with a DevOps culture, and you combine that with the infinite scale of the public cloud, it's just it's like the golden age of developers right now. There's just so many cool tools available to you that anyone could use. You have unlimited access to infrastructure. You've got great capabilities to build almost anything you want to. All the builders and the groundbreakers around us. So I think that's the exciting part for what we get excited about when we work with the developers that are here. So.
Thanks, Bob, for talking to me. And I hope that this should become a tradition that we should meet.
Yes, absolutely.
And talk about all the work that is going on the cloud native container.
I'd love to keep you updated, and we'll see you at KubeCon maybe then.
We will be.
Okay.
That's not KubeCon sound.
Those are containers.
That's actually true. Yeah. So we'll see you at KubeCon China and Seattle both.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good talking to you.